Chapter 3: Landforms and Life. Free from the burden of human beings, may the earth with many heights, slopes, and great plains, bearing plants endowed with varied powers, spread out for us and show us her riches. The earth is my mother and I am her child. Atharva Veda, Bhumi Sukta, Hymn to the Earth. The big questions. What are the major types of landforms and their significance to life and culture? What are the challenges and opportunities of life associated with each landform? Introduction. Humans, like most mammals, live on land. Land, as you may have noticed, has many forms and features. Its appearance changes a lot from one region to another. Suppose that you are traveling by road from the region known as Chota Nagpur in Jharkhand, reach Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, and go to Almora in Uttarakhand. On the way, you will see very different landscapes. In fact, you will encounter three major landforms which we will now explore. Let's explore. As a class activity, form groups of 4 or 5 students and observe the school's surroundings. What kind of landscape do you see? Will the landscape change a few kilometers away or within some 50 kilometers? Compare with other groups. In the same groups, discuss a journey that any of you has made through a region of India. List the different landscapes seen on the way. Compare with other groups. Altitude. The height of an object above sea level. Examples: the altitude of a mountain, the altitude of a bird or a plane in flight, the altitude of a satellite. A landform is a physical features on the surface of our planet Earth. Landforms take shape over millions of years and have a significant connection with the environment and life. They can broadly be divided into 3 categories: mountains, plateaus, and plains. Figure 3.1. These landforms have different climates and are home to a variety of flora and fauna. Humans have adapted to all landforms, but the number of people living on different kinds of landforms vary throughout the world. Mountains. Mountains are landforms that are much higher than the surrounding landscape. They can be recognized by a broad base, steep slopes, and a narrow summit. Depending on their height, some mountains are covered with snow. At lower altitudes, the snow melts every summer and turns. Figure 3.1. Drawing illustrates 3 landforms. Mountains in the background, 2 of them snow-capped, a plateau on the left and a plain in the foreground, with a river emerging from the mountain. This is the picture. Into water that feeds river. At high altitudes, the snow may never melt, leaving the mountain permanently snow-capped. Other highlands with a low height, less steep slopes and rounded tops are called hills. Think about it. What is a snow? Unless you live in Himalayan region such as Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, you may never have seen snow. In the rest of India, most precipitation is in the form of rain and hail. But at higher altitudes, if it is cold enough, snow will fall, covering the landscape in a soft and beautiful white blanket. Snow and hailstones are nothing but precipitation of water in solid state. Precipitation. Water from the atmosphere reaching the ground in any form. Rain, snow and hail are the most common forms of precipitation. Here are the pictures. The first one is Mount Everest. Then the second one is Mount Aconcagua. Third is Mount Kilimanjaro. Fourth is Mount Blanc. Fifth is Mountain Kanchenjunga. Sixth is Mountain Anaimuri. Figure 3.2. Pictures of 6 mountains in the world. Most of the world's mountains are grouped in mountain ranges such as Himalayas in Asia, the Alps in Europe, and the Andes in South America. Some of these ranges stretch for thousands of kilometers. Figure 3.3, a sketch showing the relative heights of 6 mountains in the world. First one is 1000 meters, then second measurement is 2000 meters, third is 3000 meters, fourth is 4000, and in such a way we are till 9000 meters. Figure 3.2 shows pictures of 6 mountains in the world. Figure 3.3 brings them together to give a visual impression of their relative heights from top to bottom. Mount Everest between Tibet and Nepal, and Kanchenjunga between Nepal and the Indian state of Sikkim are 2 highest peaks of Himalayan range. Mount Aconcagua in South America is the highest peak of the Andes. Mount Kilimanjaro in Eastern Africa is an isolated mountain that is not part of any range. Mount Blanc in Western Europe is the highest mountain of the Alps. Anaimuri in Kerala, also known as Anai Peak, is the highest mountain in South India. Mountains with tall and sharp peaks like the Himalayas are relatively young, which means that they were formed recently in Earth's history, but that is still millions of years ago. Shorter and more rounded mountains and hills like the Aravalli Ranges are much older and have been rounded by erosion. Sometimes, as with the Himalayas, upliftment as well as erosion continue to this day. You will learn more in science about such processes and their causes. Let us just say here that some mountains of the world, like the Himalayas, are still growing in height. Montane forest. A type of forest that grows in mountainous region. Moss. A small green plant without flowers or true roots, often spreading in a cushion-like cover. Lichen, a plant-like organism that generally clings to rock walls or trees. Mountain environment. Mountain slopes are often covered with a type of forest called montane forest, whether conifer trees such as pines, firs, spruce, and deodars are common. These conifer trees grow tall and cone-shaped with thin, pointed leaves. At higher altitudes, the tree gives way to grasses, mosses, and lichens. Here are 2 verses from a long poem by Kalidas, who lived at least 50 1500 years ago and is often considered to be the greatest poet of ancient India. The poem Humar Sambhava begins with an invocation to Himalayas. This is a simplified translation from the Sanskrit. In the north rises Himalaya, the lord of mountains, like a living god, who measures the earth and stretches from the western to the eastern ocean. From it, the wind comes down, carrying spray from descending Ganga, shaking the deodar trees, opening the peacock's tail, feathered and cooling the mountain people after they hunt deer. Discuss the verses and following question in class. First, what are the western to eastern oceans? Can you locate them as well as the Lord of Mountain on figure 5.2? Why is Ganga mentioned? Hint, there could be several reasons. There are pictures of different fauna. Zigine falcon, Himalayan tahar, mountain hara, golden eagle, Canadian lynx, yak, ips, grey fox, leopard, black bear. Figure 3.4, a few mountain animals. Deep forest, flowing rivers, lakes, grasslands, and caves in the mountains are home to diverse fauna. For instance, the golden eagle, the peregrine falcon, the Canadian lynx, the snow leopard, the ips, the Himalayan tahar, the mountain hara, the yak, the grey fox, and the black bear. Figure 3.4. Don't miss out! Ganga is the Indian name of largest river originating in the Himalayas. In English, Ganges is also used. Nearly 2,500 kilometers long, this river has numerous tributaries, that is, other rivers join it. Some of them, like the Yamuna and Ghagra, also originate in Himalayas. Others, like the Son or Son, originate from the Vindhya range to the south of the Ganga plain. Figure 3.5. Terrace farming in North India. Life in the mountains. The mountain terrain is usually rugged or rough and has steep slopes. This means that regular farming can only be practiced in some valleys. Cultivation is practiced on the slopes by cutting steps into the slopes. Figure 3.5. Terrain. A piece or stretch of land from the point of view of its physical features. This is called terrace farming. In many mountainous regions of the world, herding is preferred occupation over agriculture. Tourism is often an important source of income for the people living in the mountains. The crisp mountain air and scenic beauty attract many tourists. Some tourists also go to mountains for sports such as skiing, hiking, mountaineering, and paragliding. For many centuries, people have also traveled to these uplands for pilgrimages to holy sites, but an excessive inflow of visitors can also put the fragile mountain environment under pressure. It is often difficult to find the right balance. Valley, a lower area between hills and mountains, often with a river or stream flowing through it. Don't miss out. Bachendri Pal started climbing mountains from a young age and led many women's climbing expeditions. She was the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest in 1984 and was awarded Padma Shri the same year and Padma Bhushan in 2019. Arunima Sinha lost a leg in an accident when she was 22. With Bachindri Pal's encouragement and training, she managed to climb Mount Everest in 2013 and went on to climb the highest peak of every continent, including Mount Vinson in Antarctica. She was awarded Padma Shri in 2015. Let's explore. These images, figure 3.6 on page 50, depict a few challenges that people living in the mountain may face. Discuss them in group in the class and write one paragraph on each. Also discuss why, despite many such challenges, people still choose to live in the mountains. Here are some pictures. Flash board, a sudden local pod often caused by a cloudburst. Landslide, the sudden collapse of a mass of earth or rock from a mountain slide. Avalanche, the sudden fall of snow, ice, or rocks from a mountain side often occurs when the snow starts melting. Cloudburst, a sudden violent rainstorm. Then pictures are uncontrolled tourism, avalanche, heavy snowfall, cloudburst, cold weather. Figure 3.6. Life in the mountains has definite positives. From pure air to the beautiful scenery, it also involves potential challenges, both natural and human-made, some of which are depicted in these pictures. Don't miss out. Many traditional communities around the world consider mountains to be sacred places and worship them. Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world, is 8,849 meters, has many names. Tibetans called it Chomolungma, which means Mother Goddess of the world, and worship the mountains as such. Nepalis called it Sagar Matha, meaning Goddess of the sky. Similarly, Mount Kailash in Tibet is held sacred by followers of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, an ancient Tibetan religion. Such reverence for mountain summits is also found elsewhere in India as well as in other parts of the world. Plateaus. A plateau is a landform that rises up from the surrounding land as has a more or less flat surface. Some of its slides are often steep slope like mountains. Plateaus can be young or old in terms of Earth's history. Two examples of plateaus are the Tibetan Plateau, the largest and highest plateau in the world, and the Deccan Plateau. The highest of plateaus can vary from a few hundred meters to several thousand meters. Don't miss out. The Tibetan Plateau has an average altitude of 4,500 meters, which explains why it has been nicknamed as the roof of the world. From east to west, it's nearly 2,500 kilometers long, the distance from Chandigarh to Kanyakumari. The Deccan Plateau of central and south India is one of the oldest plateaus in the world, formed through volcanic activities millions of years ago. Like mountains, plateaus are rich in mineral deposits. They have been called storehouses of minerals. As a result, mining is a major activity on plateaus, where many of the world's largest mines are found. For example, the East African Plateau is famous for gold and diamond mining. In India, huge reserves of iron, coal, and manganese are found in Chota Nagpur Plateau. The plateau environment is very diverse across the world. Many plateaus have a raw soil which makes them less fertile than plains. See next section, and therefore less favorable to farming. An exception is that of lava plateaus that is formed through volcanic activity, as they often have a rich black soil. Plateaus are also home to many spectacular waterfalls. The Victoria Waterfalls on the Zambezi River in southern Africa, the Hunro Falls on the Subarnrekha River in Chotanagpur Plateau, and the Jog Falls on the Shravati River in the Western Ghats are a few such waterfalls. The Nohakalikai Falls drop down 340 meters from the Cherrapunji Plateau in Meghalaya. Figure 3.7. The Nohakalikai Falls emerging from the Cherrapunji Plateau. Plains. Plains are landforms that have an extensive flat or gently undulating surface. They do not have any large hills or deep valleys. They are generally not more than 300 meters above sea level. Flat plains are one type of plains formed by rivers originating in mountain ranges, where they collect particles of rock, sand, and silt called sediments. These sediments are carried all the way to the plains, where the rivers deposit them, making the soil very fertile. As a result, these plains are ideal for growing crops of all kinds, and agriculture is a major economic occupation in these landforms. Plains also support a variety of flora and fauna. Sea level. The average level of the surface of the oceans, also called mean sea level. Figure 3.8. The world map shows a few major mountain ranges, plateaus and plains. Plateau river plain represented with brown color, mountain range represented with green color. Plateau and plains represented with brown. We can see Alaska and North America, Rocky Mountain, Mississippi River. South America, Andes Mountain, Amazon River. Europe, Ural Mountain. Then Asia, Indus River, Tibetan Plateau, Mongolian Plateau. Africa, Atlas Mountain, Nile River, East African Plateau. Then in India, Ganga and Brahmaputra River. Use the color code in figure 3.8 to add a landform to each name. For instance, Tibetan Plateau, Rocky Range, Nile Plain. You do not have to remember the names in these maps. Figure 3.9. A satellite view of Ganga Plains. Let's explore. The picture in figure 3.9 has been taken from a satellite. It captures a portion of North India from a high altitude. Observe and discuss the image as a class activity. First, which color is the Ganga plain? Second, what does the white expanse represent? Third, what does the brown expanse at the bottom left of the image represent? Life in the plain. Thousands of years ago, the first civilization developed around rivers in fertile plains. In our time too, a large part of the world's population lives in plains. About 40 crore people, more than 1/4 of the total Indian population, live in India's Ganga plain, often called the Gangetic plain. As with many other plains of the world, The major occupation of people in this region include river fishing and agriculture. Food crops such as rice, wheat, maize, barley, and millets are grown. Fiber crops such as cotton, jute, and hemp are also grown in the Gangetic Plain. Traditional agriculture has been mostly rain-fed, that is, water through rainfall. In recent decades, however, agriculture has turned to irrigation, with water brought to the field through a network of canals or pumped from groundwater. While irrigation has increased agricultural production, it has also contributed to the depletion or decrease of groundwater. These presents a challenges for the future of agriculture in the region. Some of the other problems affecting the Ganga plains include high population and pollution. Whether in mountain ranges or plains, rivers around the world have carried immense cultural value. In particular, many communities have considered a river's source and its confluence with one or two other rivers to be sacred. In India, numerous festivals, ceremonies, and rituals are conducted at such locations. Because plains have a gentle slope, river navigation is easy and support a lot of economic activity. In earlier days, people also used rivers extensively to travel from one place to another. Even today, figure 3.10 on page 56, there are stretches along the Ganga where people prefer to use boats to move around. Confluence, the meeting point of two or more rivers. Let's explore. Can you give examples of river source or confluences from your region that are regarded sacred by any community? Visit a nearby river and observe all activities there, whether economic or cultural. Note them down and discuss with your classmates. Name some popular tourist destination in India and identify the category of landforms they are associated with. Figure 3.10 River transportation in the Ganga. In this chapter, we explored the three main landforms, but its surface is very complex and experts often define a few more landforms. One such landform is the desert. Deserts are considered to be large and dry expanses with very little precipitation. The flora and fauna are also unique. Some deserts are hot, like the Sahara Desert in Africa and the Thar Desert in the northwest of Indian subcontinent. Others are cold, like the Gobi Desert in Asia. Some experts also describe the Antarctica continent as a desert. Despite harsh living conditions, humans have adapted to most of the desert. In India, communities living in the Thar Desert or migrating through it hold rich cultural traditions, such as folk songs and legends related to the desert. The diverse ways in which humans have made all landforms their homes is a testimony to our adaptability and resilience. Resilience, the capacity to meet challenges and difficulties, adapt to them or overcome them. The five Tinais of ancient Tamil Sangam poetry are five landscapes associated with certain specific deities, lifestyles, moods, or emotions, such as love, longing, separation, quarrel, etc. This table only lists the characteristic of five landscapes and the main human occupation in each. Tanai, landscape main occupation. Kurinji, mountainous region, hunting and gathering. Mullai, grassland and forest, cattle rearing. Marudam, fertile agriculture plains, farming. Nadal, coastal regions, fishing and seafaring. Palai, arid, desert-like regions, journeying and fighting. The five Tinais constitute a different classification of landforms than the one we have seen, but they reflect a keen awareness of the diverse regions and their characteristics. They also illustrate the deep connection between humanity and the natural environment. You do not need to remember the details of Tinais, but the concept they reflect need to be understood. Before we move on, landforms are classified into three main types: mountain, plateaus, and plains. They have different physical characteristics and environments. Throughout history, people's lives and activities have been much impacted by the type of landform they have lived in. These landforms are an integral part of culture across the world. Indian culture in particular has celebrated them in diverse ways. Each landforms offer different challenges as well as opportunities. With this, we have completed chapter 3. Thank you.